Most people I know think that I'm crazy, and I know at times I act a little hasty, but if that's my way, and you should know it, then in every way help me to show it. Ooh, yeah, yeah, yeah. For most of my life I lived a delusion. Yes, material gain has caused me confusion, but slowly in time I learned that my place is to tell all that I meet the glory that God is. Ooh, yeah, yeah. And that's why most people I know think that I'm crazy. I know at times I act a little hasty, but if that's my way, and you should know it, then in every way help me to show it. Most people I know think that I'm crazy, and I know at times I act a little hasty, but if that's my way, and you should know it, then in every way help me to show it.
Good afternoon to you all, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome. And on behalf of his family, I do bid you a very sincere welcome as you have gathered to pay your respects to Mr. Justin Charles Reid. My name is Dudley Corbett, and I am indeed honoured to be invited by Melissa and the family to conduct this celebration of Justin's life. The service will take place in its entirety here in the chapel, and at the conclusion of same, the family would love to have you join them for refreshments at the Burney Harness Club out at Wivenhoe, and I'm sure you all know where that fine establishment is. The family have also asked me to thank you for this wonderful attendance here today, to assure you of the great comfort it gives them to know that Justin was so loved and so respected. So hold your loved ones close today and whisper in their ear, tell them how much you love them and that you'll always hold them dear. Take time to say, I'm sorry, please forgive me, or it's okay. And if tomorrow never comes, then you'll have no regrets about today. There is much information that I'm about to share with you. I have a lovely screed from Melissa that I'm going to read on her behalf. But in the meantime, I gleaned a lot of information from the family about Justin as I sat with them just the other day. I learned that his nicknames were JR, Dingo, and last but not least, Spud. And that's a good name for someone to have. He was born on the 27th of January 1972 at New Norfolk to Peter and Frances Reid. His siblings, a sister Christina. He went to school at New Norfolk sometimes. He worked at various places over the years. He was a storeman at Food Works. He worked at the glass works at Boyer, and I saw the collection of old bottles and things that he had up at his house, and he knew how the moulds worked and how they made the glass bottles, and I believe quite often he knew how to empty them. He worked for a long time at Lactos Cheese Company, and I can see some representatives today here from Lactos. And he worked for Mankin Logging and Oz Logging as a choker man. A new bushman will know what a choker man means. He had a lot of curios up at the house and a lot of antique things there on the shelves, and what intrigued me greatly was an old telephone. Way back in Dad's army days, that type of thing. I lifted it up, but nobody wanted to talk to me. He loved his fishing and hunting with his dad and with his pop, and they used to get after rabbits and everything. One day his pop set a lot of rabbit traps around the area, and so young Justin, he went around a bit later on and sprung them and pulled them all up and took them back to Pop. He thought he was doing the right thing, but Pop said, no, it's all right, boy. Yeah. He liked to fish Burberry and most other Tasmanian waters. He was into his music. He loved his music, and he loved it loud, and he loved a good guitar riff. He always said that he wouldn't mind being a roadie. He would like to be a roadie. He loved his Black Queen fishing rod, and new anglers here today will know the value of a Black Queen fishing rod, and there's one there in pristine condition. He was going to he didn't go very far, but he had to go to King Island once, and he made the inquiry, do I need a passport? Yeah. But when he did get there, he found a new friend by the name of Rocket. And between him and Rocket, I think they turned the island upside down occasionally. He loved his mashed potatoes, his KFC, he loved scallops, and even though he wasn't a great gardener, he was known to grow some greens. He loved to make his home brew, and he did a lot of preserves, fruit preserves as well. This may be not in chronological order, it's just as things came to mind I wrote them down, but just as long as we get through them all, it doesn't matter much what order they're in. Melissa, does it? Good on you, mate. He was the love dad of Jackson, Blake and Rock. he met up with Melissa quite some years ago. In fact, it was 2013, and it was Cox Plate Day. And in 2013, a horse called Seamus Award won the Cox Plate, and it paid the handsome dividend of $21 for the win. And Melissa, I believe, made a tidy profit on that particular day. So well done. He loved his dogs, the hounds, and he loved cats. He loved a beer on a hot day, and a warm day, and a cold day. He loved his music, as we said before. He liked it loud. He loved the guns. He loved to go hunting, as we said, with his dad and his pop and anyone who would go with him. But fishing was a wonderful big part of his life, and there was always great competition between him and Melissa as to who caught the biggest fish, I believe. He liked a small bet on the horses and the greyhounds, but he was a soft touch. If there was a charity raffle going on anywhere, he'd be the first one to put his hand in his pocket and help out with the raffles for someone less fortunate. He loved to dance, and well, I don't know whether he was dancing on the roof one day, but he fell off the roof and fractured his leg very badly, and I believe the doctor found 51 fractures in his leg. Yes, and he probably didn't climb up on the roof again for a little while after that. But I have a screed here from Melissa, as I told you earlier, and this details the man's life much more than ever I could. So Melissa starts off with a huge heartfelt thank you to everybody for their support over the last 10 days, and she really appreciates your support. She says that Justin was my everything. He was my captain Ardo of the First Division. I can't say that word in public, Melissa. A spaceship dropped him here right next to me when I needed him most. I was his Hampshire Pride. Well, that's what it says. Also known as Mrs. Reality. When we got together, he was healing from the separation of his 3 boys, and I was going through a messy divorce. We healed each other together. He taught me how to trust and love again, and boy, did we love each other, even though we were opposites in how we lived life. Justin was not a morning person. In fact, most of you know that worked with him. He didn't talk until about 11 a.m. On his days off, he had 3 cans of beer and a rat in his head before the wheel would start moving, and once that occurred, he was ready to start the day. Melissa says they both love trout fishing, and off they went with his beloved Black Queen rod. They've fished most places in Tassie and have so many grand memories of incidents, falling in, getting lost, and Justin was rather good at catching fish. He would pick the hardest spot to go to, and then when it got dark or he had too many beers, then it became really interesting. We carried a spare pair of clothes in the car and shoes, as he was prone to falling in or over until he went and got glasses. We kept a tally of the fish caught, and one year Liz had a really bad season, was losing the competition big time, and Justin had the bragging rights. Liz went and bought a new fridge, as he had done that year in the permanent. Put the new permanent fridge put permanent marker on the fridge so it could not be removed, and to let everybody know that he had bragging rights. He could be tagged as the world's worst driver, and he backed my new Outlander into the cement fence out the front. He was washing my car on usual Sunday ritual, and he put the car in reverse instead of drive. I heard the smash from outside, and he thought it was hilarious. One day he was reversing the ute in, and he was rather thirsty after a big day's work at the cheese factory, and he came up straight up the front steps in the ute. He hops out to get a beer, and then he goes back to assess the damage, and from then on Melissa drove everywhere. Well, that suited Justin because he always had his can bag filled to the brim. Justin had a Chinese bladder. Everywhere he went, there were plenty of piddle stops. Spelled a bit differently here, but the same thing. And he drove me bonkers. When we would go to visit his dad, we would stay for a few days. Him and his dad would sink plenty of beers. Every time we were due to leave, Justin hated leaving his dad on his own. So he would crack a can about 8-ish, scull a few till it was time to go, and his dad gave him a big plastic bottle for the journey home to counteract the stops. We were only at Campbelltown and he told me, "We need to stop, the bottle's already full." He was geographically challenged, could not tell where north, east, south or west was. We would be going to Scamander, and he would tell people we were off to Smithton, Stanley, or somewhere that starts with an S. Liz had to go to work to King Island for work, and Justin tagged along. It was his first plane trip, and he was so excited it was an understatement. Liz wasn't very happy about the plane, but she hated planes. Before takeoff, the pilot comes out, he does his safety spiel, then turns to Justin, who was sitting in the emergency exit, and explains that he is in charge of the safety chute and the door if we crash. Justin turns to me and says, "Can we swap seats?" I didn't hear what he said. I thought he was going to ask him to sit up in the cockpit and drive it. Well, Justin's face was aglow being in the air. We went through a heap of turbulence, or potholes, or whatever they've got up there, and even the dog in the luggage section stopped whining for the first time. Justin had 8 cans of beer in his tackle bag just in case, and he reckoned they might burst with the air pressure. But the beers were safe and well on exit. He was always doing the maths on everything. He would get the rat going on the wheel, and sometimes it would take days or hours for him to work things out. And sometimes to the point he would confuse himself and everyone around him, but he was a very intelligent thinker. He should have studied at university. If someone was throwing something out, he would take it home, pull it apart, and learn the mechanisms of it and put it back together. It was nothing to come home and find a vacuum cleaner, a DVD player, etc. in pieces in the middle of the lounge room. He could not spell to save himself and believes he still wouldn't be able to, and apart from Liz helping him every morning, every afternoon, Just would message his dad to see how he was doing, and what would be for tea. When Justin got introduced to smart TV with YouTube, he was stuffed. There was no autocorrect. He used to rant at the TV, and you could hear him telling the TV that it wasn't smart after all. It wouldn't do what he wanted. Yeah, and they'd say, Melissa Joy, how do you spell whatever's in his head at the time? But he loved YouTube because you could find anything on there. 4.5 years ago, we decided to take the plunge and move out of town. We were both going a little crazy. We finally found our house in the zone, and it was a place that we spent many happy hours. We scrubbed, cleaned, disinfected, etc. And we made a go of it. We made a house, we made a home out of the house, and they both fell in love with that 3-storey tree house, and so did Justin after a lot of hard work. We named the house Faulty Towers. Izzy the dog was the old major, Basil the cat, Just was Manuel, Liz was Sybil, and later on we adopted Polly, the Shetland collie, and our Faulty Towers were complete. Within the first month of travelling to work, Justin spun his Ford Courier out, ending up backwards, spinning out of control, but lucky he didn't do any damage. We bought the Hilux then, which we called the Duck. Good name for a Hilux. As it was a diesel, and he loved, it's Deluxe, not Duck. I'm sorry, it's my mistake. But it would have been a good name. Justin gave me some of the sale money at one stage for Lisa to go and buy some tree plants for the garden, and little did he know that there were puppies for sale at the same address, and that's where they got Polly. He used to look at Polly and say, I'm still not sure you're as good as my Ford Courier, Polly. But anyway, after Polly finished chewing all the wiring and everything else, which cost a fortune, then I'm sure she was forgiven. Polly and Justin became inseparable, and she would even help him up when he fell over. Man, did he love that dog. Don't forget about Basil the cat. He was Justin's partner in everything. Basil and I were going through the photos for today, and every photo of Justin, Basil was in, and we'll be able to see some of them very shortly, I believe. They were inseparable. Basil could do no wrong. Whenever Justin had a few too many and missed the toilet, which wouldn't have been very often, Melissa, of course. Yeah. Yes, Basil used to be there and give him great comfort. He travelled to many fishing spots with us. Later on, Melissa went and got a baby goat who had to be fed 4 times a day. It was 2 days old, and we named him Angus after AC/DC because he used to skip around like Angus danced. He was very cute until he grew up. Angus seemed to know when Justin was home from work and would bust off the chain and the shackle, and he cost us a fortune in chains and collars and shackles and goodness knows what else. And one day he appeared to be unusually calm. Justin had the day off and found some special cookies in the veggie crisper, and they were special cookies in the veggie crisper. Took some out to the goat, and there they were, both of them, stoned. you got the recipe on you? Woodlogs would be delivered. Justin and Macca would go about their business, getting their wood sorted. Justin would be brewing beer or stilling it, and there was music, plenty of music. There was quiz time on the deck between a few beverages and maybe a joint or two. And Justin would be the quiz host that would go on for hours. Liz and Macca were lucky to know the chorus of their favourite song, but Justin would give us clues, then more clues, and then he would dance to the song. Can you imagine that? Those people who know, can you imagine him? Yeah, he was wired for sound, wasn't he? 2 years ago, nearly on our 8-year anniversary, we had birds nesting in the gutter. Justin put bird mesh along the gutter, but they kept getting in, so he climbed the ladder for the 3rd time that week, and as I said earlier, he fell from the roof. He curled his right leg up under him and had 51 fractures, I believe. The doctor found that many, and the first thing he said to Melissa was, "Go and get me a bag of frozen peas," to put the frozen peas on the aching leg. They'll tell you to do that in first aid, won't they? Yeah, but would have needed a few packets, I think, for 51 fractures. But took him to hospital, and the next day he was ringing me up to go and get him. He had the drain out and was ready for home. So off I went and brought him home. I was nervous, and anyway, getting him home and then up the stairs, I had to hold his freshly operated leg as he lifted himself up 12 stairs backwards. Yes. You've never seen a man more determined to get home into his own bed. He opened a can of beer as soon as he heard the can crack. Then after that he went to sleep for 18 hours straight. Long recovery. He had to learn to walk again, and major depression did set in, but we got through. While Justin was recovering, Melissa thought she would buy some sheep to chew the paddocks down. She got the black-faced ones as they looked cute, and Justin in the dining room had prime view of the lovely lambs. And Justin's words were, "Good luck catching them." Time came for the slaughter as they really grew big and fast. And it took 3 days for the lambs to be caught. And our dear neighbour Andy Burgess came over after a day of trying, and one sheep ended up over the fence next door. Macca got taken out by one under the macrocarpa. It lined him up and charged, and that was the day 2. On day 3, Justin would tell you that the whole of Natone turned up, but the truth is it was only about 9 people. 4 extra gates, 2 vehicles, and we finally caught the lot of them. Justin laughed so hard we could hear him in the paddock, and for months he would ask me if I still wanted to be a sheep farmer. When we ate them, he said they were the tastiest ever, and it must have been all that chasing. He was such a stirrer, he could make anything into something funny and really brighten your day. Recently I went for the first fitting of a bionic arm. Justin highly excited to come to the next appointment, knowing his hate of hospitals and germs, and I asked why. He advised that they would need to measure his... Why didn't I read this before I got up here? Read his added on bit. for the masturbation setting. And he had a few questions about the length of the battery and if I had to wear it all the time or take it off or leave it on the couch. He always made, wherever we come, Wherever we went, he made the place come alive. He made people feel happy. He loved to dance, to drink, to smoke, and listen to his music. He was one of the most loyal and honest people you will ever meet. He had high standards in everything he'd done and achieved. He hated mess and he hated lazy people. So again, to each and every one of you here today, thank you for your support, your love, your messages, your cooking. It means a great deal to me to see that Justin had a great impact on you all in some way. Remember him, because you will never meet another guy like him. He was really one of a kind. I am the luckiest girl in the world to have had 10 years of his love, devotion, kindness and sense of humour. He was my world. Special thank you to my support, especially Dee and my niece Leah, who is an absolute rock for me. My mum, my sisters, their partners and everyone else. Well, after that short resume, I think it's worth a round of applause for what the lady has put together. Yeah, and it must not have been an easy task to sit down and write those memories. So, and we had a few laughs along the way there, and that's just what Justin would have liked, I'm sure. We're now going to go back in his life for a short time, per virtue of some family photographs, and hear some of Justin's favourite music in the background. Thank you.
Make a living from walking in the woods. You can bet I'd be sitting pretty good high on the hill, looking at a field downwind. If I can make a nickel off of turning in bass, never worry about the price of gas, I'd be wheeling and dealing and sitting there reeling them in. Hunting, fishing, loving every day, that's the prayer that a country boy prays. Thank God he made me this way. Hunting and fishing and loving every day. Early in the morning, late in the evening, I'm getting red dirt rich and Flint River paid. Hunting, fishing, loving every day. I get a little farm pond buzz, sound of gravel when I'm backing up, pulling the string on a 9.9 two-stroke Murphy. I love it when my baby wants to roll with me, throws her boots on, climbs in a tree, tucking her hair in my hat and she's ready to go. And we get to hunting, fishing, loving every day, that's the prayer that a country boy prays. Thank God he made me this way. Hunting and fishing and loving every day. Early in the morning, late in the evening, I'm getting red dirt rich and Flint River paid. Hunting and fishing and loving every day. While y'all are up there, breathing in that old dirty air, I'll be down here, knee deep in the muck of leaf. Hunting and fishing, loving every day. I wanna see them tall pines sway. Y'all close them eyes, let's go there in our mind. Hunting and fishing and loving
Some people call me the space cowboy. Yeah. Some call me the gangster of love. Some people call me Maurice, 'cause I speak of the pompatus of love. People talk about me, baby, say I'm doing you wrong, doing you wrong. Well, don't you worry, baby, don't worry, 'cause I'm right here, right here, right here, right here at home. 'Cause I'm a picker, I'm a grinner, I'm a lover, and I'm a sinner. I play my music in the sun. I'm a joker, I'm a smoker, I'm a midnight toker. I give my loving on the run. Thing that I ever did see. I really love your beaches, wanna shake your tree. Lovey dovey, lovey dovey, lovey dovey all the time. Ooh, yeah, baby, I'll sure show you a good time. 'Cause I'm a picker, I'm a grinner, I'm a lover, and I'm a sinner. Play my music in the sun. I'm a joker, I'm a smoker, I'm a midnight toker. I sure don't want to hurt no one. People keep talking about me, baby. Say I'm doing you wrong. Well, don't you worry, no, don't worry, mama, 'cause I'm right here at home. You're the cutest thing I ever did see. I really love your peaches, wanna shake your tree.
Certainly some wonderful memories there, and he certainly looked as if he knew what he was doing with the fishing rod. I have a message for you, Justin. Your time on earth was all too brief because we wanted you in our lives forever. And although we really miss you, in our hearts we know that you are now at peace. Still, many times throughout the day, we find ourselves remembering you, and although we cannot see or hear you, we know that you are and always will be with us. We're thankful for the times we shared and the priceless memories too, for those memories are a comfort now when we lovingly remember you. That's from Melissa and all the family. And I think Justin would have said this: remember me with a smile now, when grief may cause you to weep. One day we will laugh once again, when our next meeting we keep. Let's be thankful we shared precious love. Keep the memories warm for a while. Let them bring peace to your heart. And remember me with a smile. I think everybody here today will remember our man with many a smile. So in grief at his passing, but in gratitude for his life, today we have gathered to say a final farewell to Justin and to thank him for the privilege of being numbered amongst those who grieve. May you all find comfort, richness and example in your many memories. May you find strength and support in your love for one another, and may you find peace in your heart. And Justin's wish for you, those remaining, I think, would be, may the road rise up to meet you, may the wind be always at your back, may the sun shine warm upon your face, and the rains fall softly upon your fields, and until we meet again, may God hold you safely in the hollow of his hand. I now would like to invite the family to come forward just before we come to the final part of our farewell today and place a tribute on the casket. And just say a quick farewell to our dear friend.
A long, long time ago, I can still remember how that music used to make me smile. And I knew if I had my chance that I could make those people dance, and maybe they'd be happy for a while. But February made me shiver with every paper I'd deliver. Bad news on the doorstep, I couldn't take one more step. I can't remember if I cried when I read about his widowed bride, but something touched me deep inside the day the music died. So bye-bye, Miss American Pie. Drove my Chevy to the levee, but the levee was dry. And them good old boys were drinking whiskey and rye, singing, this'll be the day that I die. This'll be the day that I die. Did you write the book of love, and do you have faith in God above? If the Bible tells you so. Do you believe in rock and roll? Can music save your mortal soul? And can you teach me how to dance real slow? Well, I know that you're in love with him, 'cause I saw you dancing in the gym. You both kicked off your shoes. Man, I dig those rhythm and blues. I was a lonely teenage bronc and buck with a pink carnation and a pickup truck, but I knew I was out of luck today.
Oh, thank you everybody for that moving tribute to our dear friend. And just before we come to the final part of our service today, I would like once again to offer my personal sympathy to Melissa and the family on the loss of a much-loved man. And it'll be hard for quite some time without your soulmate, but I know that you'll get through. Justin would expect you to be strong. Thank you. So we have now reached that part of our service we call the Committal, where we commit Justin to the next stage of his journey. These then are the last rites in the natural life of Mr. Justin Charles Reid. We have met to pay tribute and to say farewell, and so tenderly and reverently we commit Justin for cremation. Earth to earth, ashes to ashes, dust to dust, grateful for the life that has been lived and for all that life has meant to each and every one of us. Hereby then may we highly resolve that while we live we will strive with all our might to make our living of real worth. So we now leave Justin in peace, and with the greatest of respect we bid him farewell. Thus thinking of him, let us leave this place in quietness of spirit and live with concern for one another, resolved that we who live on and those who come after us shall have life and have it more abundantly, as per Justin's wishes. Gone but not forgotten, gone but never apart, for we are blessed with memories held deeply within our hearts. And those who think that there is a time limit when grieving have never really lost a piece of their hearts. So thank you for many wonderful memories, Justin. Farewell, and may you forever rest in peace. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Could I now invite you to stand as we commence the farewell of our dear friend.
Take to the highway, won't you lend me your name? Your way and my way seem to be one and the same. Mama don't understand it, she wants to know where I've been. I'd have to be some kind of natural born fool to wanna pass that way again. But you know I could feel it on a country road. Sail on home to Jesus, won't you, good girls and boys? I'm all in pieces, you can have your own choice. But I can hear a heavenly band full of angels, and they're coming to set me free. I don't know nothing about the wild wind, but I can tell you that it's bound to be, because I could feel it, child, yeah, on a country road. I guess my feet know where they want me to go, walking on a country road, yeah. Take to the highway, won't you lend me your name? Your way, my way, they seem to be one and the same, child. Mama don't understand it, she wants to know where I've been. I have to be some kind of natural born fool, I wanna pass that way again. But I could feel it, no, country road. Walk on down, walk on down, walk on down, walk on down, walk on down a country road. La 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 la